Welcome back into Sports Talk. Thank you for joining us here on this digital version. If you were watching us on ABC and NBC, we appreciate that. But we're just getting started. We have 52 teams to break down over the course of the next hour or so. We're going to dive into some region players we're going to be looking out for, some coaches we're going to be talking about, but more importantly, we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to tell you who is going to come away at the end of the season with some region championships. Let's start in that 6A region. Let's take a look again at those teams: Colquitt County, the Valdosta Wildcats, the Lowndes Vikings, and the Tift County Blue Devils. We're going to start here in Colquitt. Colquitt has a number of players that they're going to have to replace. Over the past 2 seasons, we saw guys like Nikar, Nico Fan, Landon Thomas, Jack Luttrell, Nick Pace on the defensive side of the ball. So enter a freshman quarterback this year, ladies. Cohen Lawson. He's going to get the nod. Coach Calhoun said that he's going with the freshman to start the year. That means Zion Aldridge is moving out to the wide receiver position. I expect them to lean on the run game heavily this year. And one name to watch out for, Coach told me he hasn't played the past 2 seasons, Tyjavian Lamar. He's a big physical running back, and he definitely could be a wild card.
You know, every year brings its new challenges, but also new excitement. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that people don't really know their names. You know, at one point, nobody knew who Nikar was, and Nico Fan, and and you can go on and on. So, it's these guys' time now to kind of make their name known.
The Wildcats coach Shelton Felton told me they're calling themselves the no-name defense, so you know what that means. They'll lean on the offense early and often this season. Thankfully, they do have a lot of returns on offense, guys. They have QB Todd Robinson returning, and a deep receiver core in Prince Jean, Eli Lewis, and Marquise Fennell.
We're young. We call ourselves no-name defense this year because we don't have a bunch of stars on defense. We were senior-led on defense last year. We had a lot of good guys, top names everybody knew. Right now, we've got committed. We have a very young but talented team on defense, and we're trying to earn our name and earn our right. I think our most experienced in our secondary, we're pretty loaded right there with Jalen Copeland, Tyler Armour, Seth Brown, Khalil Mole, Cam Brown. And we add another young kid today, too. So we're pretty good. Those guys got a lot of football in them.
New culture with Jeff Littleton. What he was able to do at Bainbridge was special. We saw him get deep into the playoffs year after year. We talked about it earlier. Now they have a big task to overcome, replacing Damian Moats. I watched that scrimmage game against Brooks. It looked like Kamari Holloman was the guy. Damian Dixon, just a young sophomore quarterback. And then he's going to have that huge connection with Amadre Woods on the outside. I think that's going to play a pivotal role in them trying to stretch the field and create big explosive plays. And they're young at some key positions. They have just 9 seniors on their roster.
The Lowndes Vikings, they're a young team in 2023. They still are this season. They only returned 4 defensive starters, but one of those returners do include the team's top tackler from last season, linebacker Coleman Lewis. He was the 9th leading tackler in the state in 2023 with 119. And then on the offensive side, they only have 6 starters coming back, including dual threat QB Marvis Parrish. And Carter said with the class of 2025 leadership, we should be able to get this ship going in the right direction. And a ship that's seen some unfamiliar waters these last few seasons, guys. They've had 13 seasons with 10-plus wins since 2000. They haven't won a region championship, though, since 2001. Just a 9-12 record since then.
Yeah, we've seen the talk about Lowndes over the past couple of seasons. Morgan, it started with Grage when he left, going 5-5 and then losing that playoff game, making it 5-6. And then last year, more struggles, finishing under 500. This is a program in a community that just doesn't handle winning well.
You got to win in Titletown. That's why they call it Titletown.
What do we want to see from Coach Carter? How can Lowndes take that next step and get back to what they're used to?
I think it starts at the quarterback position. I think Marvis is going to do Marvis, but I think what's really going to help them is being able to see him play at multiple positions.
Yeah, Junior, you like what Marvis has to offer, and he's actually your region player to watch.
He is, yeah. He's a dual-threat quarterback. He threw for over 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns. He rushed for over 1,018 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons, and they have a freshman, obviously, Jace Johnson, and potentially with him getting some reps, I think that sets Parrish up to use his legs a lot more than he already does, and I think he's really going to have a really good season this year with Lowndes.
Morgan, who's your player to watch?
Todd Robinson. He got his first-year start last year. While the numbers don't jump off the screen, he is a dual-threat quarterback, which I really like about him. He passed for 878 yards and a few touchdowns and had 80 rushes for 523 yards on 7 touchdowns. From that moment, he had that breakout run in Wintersville Classic. I knew he was going to be special. Coach Felton said last year was going to be his breakout season, and it definitely was. I've seen so much progression from Todd as far as leadership goes. He's a lot more vocal, and I think that's really going to take them far this season.
Real young, we young, so I got to motivate them, make sure they got the right mindset. It's been great. Prince, Eli, ever since they got here, they've been with me. We've been working. We work outside of practice, all the skill guys. So just knowing that I got the weapons that can make plays, get the ball in their hands, and they can go for 80, feel good. It'll feel great to know that I got a unit, like a team support behind me. It just feel great.
My player to watch, Deshaun. Listen, this guy is going to be the focal point of Colquitt County. We know they have to be more physical. We know they have to run the ball a lot more than they did in the previous years because there is no Nico fan. There is no Nikar on the outside. I expect Deshaun to have a big year. Look, I'm not trying to compare him to Fred Brown, but he's going to have to carry the load of a Fred Brown where we might see 30-plus carries in a game, and I think he can handle it. I looked at him at practice. He invited the ball. He wants the ball, and I think it's going to be something that we're going to see in the future going forward for him. So I expect a big season for what he's going to be able to do. Listen, this 6A region is kind of up for grabs right now. This is one of those regions where we've seen Colquitt win the past 2 seasons, and then now we're not really sure who's it going to be. We have to remember there's Camden County still in the mix there. They were a young team. They're bringing back. They were a lot younger and a lot better than I think most people thought. And then we got the surprise, of course, of what is Colquitt going to do? What is Lowndes going to do? But I want to talk about who we think is going to win. And I'm going to start with you, Janier. Who do you have winning this region and why?
I have the Valdosta Wildcats winning this region. I think having Todd back is a huge thing. And they have a lot of new faces at Colquitt. I know they say, it's an established program. They have a really good middle school program that they're kind of grabbing out of into when they come into high school. But I think experience is huge, and playing in the environment that these 6A teams play in, I think experience is going to eventually play a huge role. And that's why I have the Wildcats. They have a little bit more experience heading into this season than Colquitt.
Morgan, you also have the Wildcats. What went into that mindset? I know you like Todd a lot, but what else really stood out to you about them that made them your pick?
I think they've been on the cusp every year, and Coach Felton preaches fast and physical. I feel like they're like that every year. And even though they did lose a lot of guys, I feel like they have a lot of guys in the tank. And then Coach Felton just got his doctorate. He said the next step is a region title. The next step is a championship. So, I mean, they're right where they need to be, I feel like. He's
laying that foundation. That was a really cool piece that you did on him getting his doctorate. Now that he has that title, he's looking to bring a region title and then hopefully a state title. I have the Valdosta Wildcats as well. I just think this team, like you said, has been on the cusp for a number of years. Yes, you lose guys like Eric Brantley, but offensively, I think bringing back quarterback and what he's been able to progress in Todd Robinson is important. But also, you have to attribute it to some of those other teams taking a step back. I don't feel Lowndes is as strong as we'd like them to be. And Colquitt, I like what I saw this last time going out there for their practice, but you're still missing Landon Thomas. You're still missing Nikar, and you're still missing Nico Fan. And that's a huge hole that they have to try to fill so they could get off to a slow start. I'm going to roll with the Valdosta Wildcats.
I do want to interrupt really quick and ask, are we going to, I know we all pick the same teams here, but I know we picked different ones as we go along. We're going to go back at the end of the season, right, and see, or at the end of the region and see. Count them up.
We are definitely going to revisit this. I think last year Morgan was a little salty. She had the teams. We had our little pick 'em segment for like half the year.
Yeah, and I was in the lead by a lot.
And she blames it on us because she said, well, we were losing, so we stopped doing it. That's not really what happened. But we will revisit this, and we will kind of see where these teams stack up, what we thought they were going to be, and where they actually finish. Let's switch to that region that I think is just the toughest region in the state, and that is that 5A region. Let's take a look one more time at what that looks like. That's Region 2, the Coffee Trojans, Thomas County Central Yellow Jackets, and Lee County Trojans. This is a huge, huge haul to try to get through this region, Janier, and it starts with the defending champs in TCC.
Yeah, it sure does. TCC, they have major talent coming back, including WLB's underclassman of the year last season, quarterback Jalen Johnson. The junior led the Jackets offense that averaged 46 points per game, and of course, the state championship in a game where Johnson accounted for 5 touchdowns. So having him back under center is huge. On top of the experience he gained last season playing deep into the postseason, I think it sets TCC up really nicely, even with losing talents like Trey Friend.
That's the thing with Jalen. He's the only starter back on offense, so he's been the consistent piece there. You can tell we've been able to be a little more advanced early on because having him back, we can do a lot more, so that's been really nice.
Morgan, we've talked a lot about Coffee and what Coach Cole has been able to do. This is the resume that he's put together in just 2 seasons at Coffee. How impressive is it?
When I look at Coffee and Douglas' greatness, I see Tyreek Hill and I see Coach Mike Coe. I think he's one of the best hires they've had in school history. Like you said, you look at his resume, his second year there, they won a region title, went undefeated, and won a state championship title. So no Freds, no Maurice. The Paul crew is also going. They have a good core though. A lot of guys with experience coming back on both sides of the ball. It may be a little running back by committee with the return of Tyrese Hamsley, who rushed for about 800 yards last year. And Tyrese Woodgett, who did sit out last year, but I think he's going to leave his mark his senior season.
We've got probably 6 on each side that have played a lot of football and won a lot of games, and that's who we're leaning on to, in tough times. We can't run from it. We got to go through it. That's adversity. We got to hit it head on, and they've done a good job so far this offseason with it.
Experience in key positions for Lee County. We're talking about Braxton Hunter, Morgan, earlier, and the loss of him. How are they going to replace that depth in the backfield? We know what Usmani Kroma is going to bring to the table. They're going to need somebody else to step up. This year, I think it's the big losses on the defensive line. We're talking about a team that relied on that defensive line to create pressure, to get guys in the backfield. I don't think they have that anymore. To me, this year for Lee County is now or never. Weston is in his final year. Usmani's in his final year. This is a team that's been knocking at the door. And yes, it's a tough region, but I do think that they have an opportunity to overcome what we feel are some deficiencies and make some things happen. And I think that starts with Usmani Kroma living up to his hype, and then Weston doing what he's supposed to do each and every week. When we talk about 5A and we talk about this region in particular, there are so many players we can point to that have scholarship offers that are, 5 stars, 4 stars, starts with one of the top running backs in the country in Usmani. But there's some other players that we're on the lookout for this year. Engineer, let's start with you, a guy out of TCC you've been really high on.
Yes, 4-star defensive end and edge rusher Cam Brooks. He has 20-plus offers already at 8 sacks in 2023, and he was absolutely causing havoc in the OTAs this summer that I was at. He didn't play in the loud scrimmage. It was a little disappointing. I wanted to see him. He said his hammy was hurting him a little bit, but there's really nothing to worry about, and he'll be ready come game 1, and I think he's going to make a really big difference for TCC's defense this season.
Yeah, we saw what he was able to do in that special defense last year. Morgan, you have somebody from Coffee County that's coming back this year.
My player to watch is Mr. Tyrese Woodgett. This is his season. He has to come for it all this year. He sat out last year, but his sophomore year, he was top 10 in the nation at punt return, so I'm excited to see him on special teams this year. Coach told me Tyrese has matured. He's got his weight up to about $190, and he runs a 4.4, so he's fast. I think the team is going to depend on him this year a lot. And I think a lot of people probably feel like he has to fill Fred's shoes, but I don't think he has to do that. We already know he is. He already has his own name. And I think it's a different type of running back. We'll probably see some longer breakout runs from here, which I'm excited to see this season. He's back and he's ready, and I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, we talking about breaking those big runs. He's a guy that can hit home runs constantly, and I think that is going to improve what they do offensively. My guy is the guy I just was talking about a few minutes ago, and that's Weston Bryant. I think this is Look, I've preached this. Quarterback is the most important position on the field. He has to deliver through the air. There has to be some sort of passing game. Since Fugerson left a few years ago, they really haven't thrown the ball the way they have in the past. I think it's going to be up to him, and I do expect him to use his legs more this season. He's a big physical guy wrestling for state championships year in and year out. I think this is the year for Weston Bryant. So he's the guy I'm keeping my eye on because they're going to go, not as far as Usmani goes, it's as far as Weston takes.
I like that take.
And then we talked about Usmani Kroma. Look, we know what he's going to do. Just in the past 2 seasons alone, this is one of the best running backs in the country, not just in the state. He's ran for over 3,000 yards, 9 yards a carry, 51 touchdowns. Those are straight video game numbers. I'm not sure if there is another running back in the state that can match what he does. I think that he's going to continue to do what we've seen him do in the past. They just need more on the odds. All right, when we talk about this region, this is one of those regions it's hard to talk about and not really get pulled in one direction or the other. Is it TCC? Is it Coffee? Is it Lee County? Morgan, who wins this region and why?
Right now, I think I have Thomas County Central just because we talk about the returners, and they do have Jalen returning at quarterback. We saw what he did in the underclassmen just imagine all the experience he has now with the state championship under his belt. But I also feel like this could go anyway, honestly.
Janeer, are you on that? Do you have that same mindset? Who do you have coming out on top? I don't think there's a wrong answer.
No, I don't think there's a wrong answer across the board anywhere. But I don't have TCC, actually. I have Lee County. I think they were just off the mark. They missed it last year. Obviously, that one play that Weston Bryant came up inches short on 4th down. The TCC ended up winning it. Like I said, I don't think the gap is really that big between these two teams. I know Weston Bryant really said he wanted him to use his legs more. He's really focused on pocket awareness this offseason. I think that's going to play a huge role. And we saw what Fred Brown did with Coffee, how far he got them. I don't see why Usmani Chroma can't do that for Lee County this season.
For me, it's TCC, the defense, what they talked about Cam Brooks, but Jalen Johnson at the quarterback position. He's so young, but he's so mature for his age. And we saw him play in the big time game. I think one thing that all these teams have in common, they've been in big time moments, and Jalen proved that he can deliver in those big time moments. I'm going to pick Thomas County Central again. And I know Trans Lee, one of our directors there, is probably not too happy with me.
Janeer's his favorite.
Yeah, he likes me today. So.
But to me, it's the Yellow Jackets in 2024. All right, let's take a look at the 3A region. This is one of my favorite regions because we have some good Live City teams in here. I'm talking the Doherty Trojans, the Monroe Golden Tornadoes, and of course the Westover Patriots also being in that region. Bainbridge and Cairo dropped down from what was the 4A region before. We have no teams in the 4A region, so it's just going to be 3A for us going to 5A. Morgan, Doherty, Cam Davis is gone. What does that look like this year for the Trojans?
I believe this is the true Schroeder era in Doherty. He came week 1 last season, so he wasn't in charge of the summer workouts. And I think this summer he put the Trojans in a lot of OTAs and paddock camps. And I think that'll really help them this season. It gave Bloom some reps at quarterback. The team was really young. They're kind of inexperienced, but I mean, David Burgess at quarterback with some veterans around him like Braylon Steele, Cornelius Walker. I'm expecting him to have a good season. Trent Williams and DeQuavius Hallman. I think they have what it takes to be a region contender this year.
No way coming in with offensive line this year. I feel like they're going to hold up from this year every game. We protect us from just lifting one every go.
Yeah, we got a big offensive line. You know, they're not the tallest kids, but they are big kids that can probably move some people around. So we're going to be on the line. Trent Williams, Gino McGee, we got Kevon Thomas, Ben Williams, and Tyshawn McGee. Those are our starters right now. But we do have 3 good backups, too, with DJ Johnson and his little brother, Larry Mosley, and Derek Spear is the other one. So to have 3 guys that could come off the bench and play at any time, that's great for us.
Now, we all know Doherty will miss Cam Davis, who was going to do big things at FSU. I'm super excited for him, but I'm not as worried about the Trojans with Cam going, since David did get some reps while Cam was out with an injury last year. David told me Cam taught him a lot, and obviously Cam got it done on the ground, but I think David may be more of a pocket passer, which can be good for Braylon Steele at receiver.
Yeah, what Cam was able to do with the Trojans, it was special. This is a player you're not going to replace. You're just trying to find guys that can come together and give you a little bit of what he gave you. He did it through the air. He did it on the ground. You mentioned David maybe having the ability to throw in the pocket with a guy, a veteran like Braylon Steele. I wanted to ask you, does it look like that offense when you're out there was more, hey, let's find ways to run it? Or was it, hey, we're going to open it up a little bit more down at Camden?
They were definitely opening it up a lot more, but they were also getting Cornelius Jr. a lot of touches. So I think if they can find a good combination, they'll be okay this season on offense.
Janeer Yuljoiner taking over there. He kind of has his opportunity to set his mark on this program. What would you consider the biggest thing that they need to do when you lose a player of Cam? We're talking about some other teams that have lost players.
Yeah.
What is that mindset of a coach when you lose a player like Cam?
I mean, you hear from every coach, they say, you can't replace this guy. I mean, Cam Davis comes in around every once in a while for a team. I just think you go with, obviously, who you have now and you work on building around him. This is your guy now. This is who you need to put your focus on. Like, Cam Davis did so much for them, but you just kind of have to, wipe that slate clean and you focus on who you have now and build around him and kind of set that offense for what you know is going to help your guys succeed in what they need to succeed. And I will say something about Cam Davis. I don't know if you guys have been on Twitter, but he has been really rallying people up. They're like, how is this freshman already looking like a 20-year NFL veteran as he's walking into Florida State's camp. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, he's
That's a big guy.
He's baby Springboard. Good luck to
They're
camp. We're going to
loving
be
him
watching
out
camp
there.
definitely this year. Let's get over to the Ponderosa. Is that what they call it in Oregon?
That's what they call it, Aaron, the Ponderosa.
26 seniors, Monroe. Great season last year. They lose 26 seniors this year. No more Corey Randall. No more Cam Randall. The brothers are gone. Jordan Washington, under center. He knows it's his team now, and he's embraced that role. He told me like he's ready, and he feels like he's ready for this moment, and he's been preparing for this. But the defense is still the identity of this team. Even though Coach Herring is an offensive guy, the defense has led this team for the past couple of seasons, and I don't think that changes this year. The spread run game that they're going to be implementing, I do think they're going to be able to run the ball a little bit better than we've seen in the past. But ultimately, the back end on the defense is what I'm most excited about this year. With Karan Nord, Nehemiah Tinch, Lorenzo Steele on the outside, I think these guys are going to be able to lock up guys, and all three are going to have impact on both sides of the ball.
Thing is, I always want my guys to rise to the occasion. I don't ever want my guys to get comfortable playing down. And so playing against, I'm from an era, man, where they say if you want to beat a man, you got to beat the man. And so for us, to get in the conversation of those TCCs and Colquitt counties and to establish that type of name for Monroe, we got to play those type of teams and show that we can compete.
My mindset is just make a statement, like lead the young guys to like trying to go to the playoffs. Like this is my last year, I'm trying to go out with a bang.
How we progressed on defense, just trusting our guys, trusting the coaches, minor mistakes, going to the playoffs again. We went last year, we want to go again, but even go further, maybe even state.
Talk about state there, guys. TCC and Colquitt, first two games of the season, is going to be tough.
David Coleman will have to replace some solid talent this year, including offensive playmakers who have graduated. They lose standout offensive tackle Cade Puckett and wide receiver Amari Powell, who both committed to Georgia State. They also lose KJ Spence, who took his talents to college. He accounted for 840 yards on the ground and 17 touchdowns for the Syrup Makers. And Cairo, they do welcome back standout sophomore Brian Duncan. He had a breakout freshman year last season. And they also have the number one quarterback in the class of 2028 in Georgia, and Bryce Puckett. I mean, without him, he didn't play in their scrimmage game. They still put up 40 points in the scrimmage. So I think Cairo's going to be pretty okay.
Yeah, Cairo looks good. I like that Bryce Puckett freshman, number one in the state, right?
Not too far, Jay Walls is in the building in Bainbridge. After clinching the region, the Bearcats had a disappointing second-round exit. Hate to see them lose to Perry. And I know Coach Walls knows they're going to go through some growing pains at the beginning, especially starting with QB Cameron Scott, who's still recovering from injury. They graduated over 20 seniors. Coach Walls told me they mostly have returns on the defense side of the ball, which they will depend on early this season.
We've had to really overcome is graduation. Bainbridge, we took a big hit as far as graduation. Guys, starters on last year's team have graduated. So, we've got players, we've got size, we've got speed, we've got strength. We just lack experience. So that's the biggest thing that we've got to overcome.
Have faith down there in Bainbridge. One of my teams that I'm really excited about this year, back in the Good Life City, it's the Westover Patriots. And trenches win championships, and this is one of the best teams in the trenches that we're going to see. Big up front, specifically on the offensive side of the ball. They might have the best tackle tandem around that I've seen, and they are large, and I mean that in a good way. I also like the experience that they have at the quarterback position. Keon Thomas returning. You get a returner in Dominique Ball in the backfield, and then the playmakers on the outside. You get a Jalen Coleman who can take the top off the defense and also go over their middle and make plays. Look, Corey Joyner, he takes over a program and he has a pedigree. This is the guy that's been an offensive coordinator. He has his son calling plays out. His son just graduated from college. This is an offensive-minded family when you talk about what Yule does and what Corey does. There's new energy in this program that we're excited.
Oh, yeah, you've seen the confidence. You've seen the confidence. You've seen the willingness to work and the readiness to work when we come out here and do our workouts during the summer. The guys are more eager to be out here because winning helps solve a lot of problems.
Winning does solve problems, Morgan. Let's talk about my player to watch. Look, Torian Chester is an absolutely mammoth of a human being for a high school kid. He's one of the best offensive linemen in the state.
Huge.
GHSF Daily ranks him as one of the top offensive linemen in the state. This is the tone center on this team. They're going to run the football. They're going to get downhill. Dominique Ball might score 20 touchdowns this year, and that might be an understatement. He's my player to watch. I just think Westover has a bright future this year and beyond.
Yeah, my player to watch, not as big, but just as powerful. Brian Duncan, he had a freshman season with 73 carries and 524 yards with 5 touchdowns. He also had an interception as a DB, so he'll likely be counted on both sides of the ball for Cairo in 2024. And if the scrimmage was any preview of what this season is to come for him, it's going to be a good one. He had 12 carries, 266 yards, and 5 touchdowns, you guys.
My question is, why is he playing that much why is he playing that much?
Go big or go home, right?
Mine go on the defensive side of the ball. Like I said earlier, Bainbridge has the most returners on defense, and one of them is Braylon Phillips. Braylon has to step up as a leader this season. I think he will. He had 75 tackles last season. He has just an eye for getting to the ball. He picked up some offers this offseason, which I think helps his morale for this season. He knows the standard of Bainbridge football and what it takes to win. I think we're definitely going to look him to disrupt some offenses this season.
Yeah, this region is interesting to me because we have 3 teams here from the Good Life City. We have a few teams down in South. Cairo and Bainbridge have a huge rivalry. They joined the region now. I'm just going to start with my pick. I said Westover to start. My player to watch was from Westover. I've been really high on Westover. I watched the Junebug Classic with you, Morgan. Watching Westover destroy Monroe, there's something special in the water on Westover, at Westover, on Westover, at Westover. They're on the same, street, school, whatever. There's something special going there, and I think it starts with Coy Joyner. I'm going to go with Westover to win this region, and I see you have the same pick. Why do you have them winning this region?
I agree with you completely. Everything you said, I spoke with Coach Jordan before the Junebug Classic, and he told me he's just trying to bring winning back to Westover. He said he knows what it takes to take a team to a state championship. He did it with Carver. They're in similar regions. I mean, the excitement is there for this team. They got a shutout victory in their spring game, a shutout victory in their scrimmage. They're building on that, and it's going to continue and hopefully roll them on to a region title.
Jenny, you had a chance to see Cairo in the scrimmage. You have Cairo as your region champion. Why?
I do have Cairo as my region champion, and I think I picked them. I haven't seen Westover play, but I watched Cairo. I think their offense is really powerful. I think they can put up 40, 50 points per game, and that's hard to keep up with. I don't know necessarily how much their defense is going to be able to win games for them and stop other offenses, but I think if their offense can put those numbers on the board, it's going to be really hard to compete with them offensively. So that's why I'm going Cairo.
One thing I like about this region realignment, there's a lot of good storylines within these regions that they've done. Even the slightest moves of Cairo and Bainbridge coming down, I think that makes this 3A region tougher, and that really excites me. So let's head to another region that is exciting. We talked about this the first half hour. 2A, regions 1 and 6, Sumter County, Crisp County, and the Cook Hornets. We start with Sumter County. Look, I have been all over this team for the past couple of seasons. I think they're improved. So much optimism in this region. Will Rogers has done an outstanding job. Now, their biggest question this offseason was how they're going to replace Anthony Tyson, who did everything on offense for them. They have 2 young guys, Ishmael Jones and Jayshon Bobs. They rotated in that scrimmage game against Monroe. Both of them showed flashes. Both of them had moments. And both of them bring a little bit of different skill set. One's more of a thinker. One's more of an athlete. I can use my athletic skills to get things done. I think it's a benefit for both of them. The biggest difference for me is the defense. Plenty of skill guys they have on the offensive side. The defense is going to be important. Can they stop people when they need to stop people on third down? Keiston Taylor and Corderia Leverett, big on the offensive side of the ball. And then a lot of talk about this schedule. And the schedule it's not in the bad way you would think. This is a team that believes this schedule is favorable for them. And I'm looking directly at that game at Carver, week, 9? I believe it is, week 9 or 10 at Carver is going to be the big one that I think decides.
Third year under Coach L in Crisp County. They have a new tough region. No Barry Walker or Kayvon Merrill or CJ Jones, but Hagen Slip is returning with Deshaun Fed, who had 42 catches for 790 yards last season. As we've seen in the past, the Cougars will still hang their hats on defense with 3-star defensive back Caden Daniels, who's committed to Vandy this season, this offseason. And I think we're going to see big things from Crisp County this year.
Coming back, Hagen Slim, he did a great job for us coming on, first-year starter. Deshaun Fed, receiver. Defensively, Zamarian Hudson, Caden Daniels, who are Vanderbilt commit. We're looking for those guys to lead us. In the trenches, we're a little inexperienced, but they've done some really good things this offseason, and they contributed a good bit last year. So it's going to be interesting to see how they step up this year.
Cook raised the bar in 2023. They advanced to the Class 2A state semifinals. This year, they moved to a new region with new region opponents, and that's a challenge in itself. Not to mention, it does include the defending state champs, Pierce County. And they do have to face the struggle of replacing quarterback Drew Folsom, who threw for over 2,000 yards. He did leave Cook as the all-time leading passer, so hard to replace him, and his favorite receiver, Nyshawn Wallace, Cook's all-time leading receiver. So Cook losing a lot of talent.
He's got a tremendous upside. He's going to give us a different look at the quarterback spot. I say a different look. He's going to be able to do some different things, and he's an extremely talented young player now. And I wish we could have got him a little bit more. He was starting on the defensive side and playing some wide receiver for us last year. But he's going to try to step in there for Drew, and he's just going to give us a different look that I think is going to really help us, especially up front.
Can run, I can throw, can do anything you need me to, really. Be a good team leader and be the best I can be for this team, for us to win.
There's a lot of talk about what Cook's going to be able to do moving past some of those veterans that they've had. Now they have to rely on some of those young guys. We have some players in the 2A region that we're excited to see. You're Janier, you're going to Sumter County, the team I was just talking about. Who's your player to watch coming out of 2A?
Yeah, my player is Jaquavius McKenzie, and I love a good comeback story. I mean, he got some reps with the varsity team in 2022. He was really looking forward to last season. Unfortunately, he had a bad knee injury and spent the entire season rehabbing, watching from the sidelines, and just getting really hungry to show up this season. And I think he's really excited to show what he can do. And he had a good scrimmage, so I'm excited to see what he can do this season for Sumter.
Morgan, you got your first glimpse at this guy last year. Who's your player to watch?
I am big on the Cougars this year. This has to be a breakout season for Hagen Slimp. He passed for 1,305 yards with 12 touchdowns on just his first 9 starts last year. I got to see him at the OTA this summer, and I've seen a huge difference in his confidence and just his arm. I think that year of experience and confidence can really help lead this offense far this year.
I'm going to go back to Sumter County. Look, Cordarian Leverett, we talked about replacing some offensive production with Anthony Tyson. Well, Anthony Tyson ran the ball a lot. I think they're going to have to throw the ball a little bit more, and I think Cordarian Leverett is going to be a beneficiary of that. He's a guy that's explosive. He gets behind defenses. Every time I look up, he's wide open. I don't know how he does it. He's not a big guy, but he finds a way to get it done. And plus, he wears the number 1, and I really like that. He's a fiery little guy. So give me some Cordarian Leverett as my player to watch.
I feel like I need to improve on my leadership and my leadership and bring everybody up because now I'm a senior now. So I ain't at the look, I ain't at the smile no more. I'm at the big dog.
That is too funny. If you didn't know, we're laughing at the guy that's bear crawling in the background of his interview because I think he was in trouble.
Yeah, he's struggling.
Yeah, I think he was in trouble. He wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing. Good moment there. All right, so we're going to pick these regions separately. I'm going to start with Cook's region, Cook and Crisp County. Looks like two people. Looks like Morgan and I, we both like Pierce County, the defending champs. I'll say it. Caden McGatha. The experience of our teams, it just isn't there yet. They've been in 2 state championships
the past 4 years.
Past 4 years. This guy was a junior. He ran for 6 touchdowns or combined for 6 touchdowns in that game, that state championship game that went into like 3 or 4 overtimes. We were actually there. It was taking forever to finish. But I really, really like what Pierce County has. I think I'm going to roll with Pierce County. I think it's just a team where the experience matters. But Janier, you have Cook.
I do have Cook, and this was just more of I just wanted to stick with our home team, so I picked Cook.
Look, she's trying to get some brownie points here. Yeah, it's working a little bit. I'm sure the people down in Adel love that. But I do like Coach Slack, so we know what Coach Slack is going to bring, and his team's always going to be tough. Was there something different that you've seen from Cook this year, Morgan, that maybe does give you a little bit of optimism of Janier's fix?
I think, like you said, they just have Coach Slack, and I'm really excited for MJ. He said they're going to give them a different look on the offensive side of the ball. He did tell me he was a little nervous to start at quarterback this year, but I think he has what it takes in him. He's a Cook Hornet through and through, and I talked to the offensive line. It was just such a cool moment when I was out at practice. MJ was like, I am kind of nervous, and one of the linemen was like, why are you nervous? I'm blocking for you. Like, I got you.
That's
like,
what's up.
I like that.
That's what's up. I like that. Confident O-line means good things for the quarterback. On the other side, we have Sumter County, and again, this is the lone team of our teams that we cover in this region. I think they've closed the gap, but Carver, they lose the seniors, Deontay Childs and Jacoby Hunter, but they have athletes. They always have athletes when they step onto the field. I think coming from the 3A region, I still lean Carver here. It looks like it's a clean sweep for Carver.
They always give our team the run for their money.
They do. They always give our teams a run for the money, but I do think Sumter has closed the gap and we could see maybe something in the future. I don't know. What do you think, Morgan?
I think Sumter definitely could give them a run for their money. I feel like Sumter, we saw a progression of them when they beat, like Chris, you said last year. I think maybe by the end of the season, they could put up a fight with Carver once we get to region play. You just never know.
Well, I'm not going to doubt our team. I know we picked Carver, but let's go Sumter. All right, let's move to that Class A Division I, Region 1. These are some of the 2A teams that dropped down. We had Berrien, we had Fitzgerald, we had Worth County, and Thomasville moves all the way back from 3A to single A. It's a big move for Thomasville, especially a program that has so much potential. But Janier, let's start with the Berrien Rebels.
Yeah, Ken Eldredge back for his second season as the head coach. He's implementing a new look offense scheme that he hopes will improve the Rebels just 17 points per game. His big thing was limit turnovers. They scored 160 points while allowing 312. And a big reason for that was because of their turnovers last season. And of course, the Rebels lose one of the Berrien's all-time great players in Josiah Davis. Eldredge did say his team has really benefited from the strength and conditioning programs in the offseason, though.
So that comes down to the fact we turned the ball over a lot last year, and it's hard to keep a team out of the end zone and put your defense when they're out there on the field all the time. So, we sort of changed, we did completely change our offenses, a little more ball control type deal, and so we're hoping that's going to keep our defense off. And we finished the last 2 games last year against Dodge and against Fitzgerald, and changed up, and our time of possession almost doubled in those 2 games, which again kept the scores down. And we won one of those games against Dodge, so we're really excited about the kids. We're excited about what we're doing, and through OTAs this summer, we've been on the move to football, so we're pleased with that.
The Fitzgerald Purple Hurricanes are a little bit more inexperienced this season. They lost 22 seniors. They do have sophomore quarterback David Wilson coming back this year. And when I spoke with Coach Pruitt earlier this year, he said speed is the name of the game for them this season. They have Tyson King, who's going to lead their rushing attack. And then Victor Copeland, he's new to the gridiron, but I've seen him on the track, Aaron. We've seen him on the court. This guy is fast. He can run like a 10, almost a 10 flat in the 100. He's fast, and I think that's really going to help their run game this season. And they also have Quincy DeBerry, who will help with the run block. So I think they'll still be in a good spot as well this year.
Want that to change at all. We feel like we've got a plan. We've got a process, and it's been good to us, so we're going to try to follow it. It's a new year, and, hopefully we've gotten better in the weight room. Hopefully we've invested all that time wisely into our walkthroughs, our practices. Hopefully we've made all of our preparation time count.
Well, it certainly has counted lately, like Coach said. Look at their pedigree, their state championship after state championship appearances. The question is, can they do it again this year after missing it last year's season?
It's hard to doubt the Fitzgerald Canes. They're in it every season. Let's go down to Thomasville. Again, the big storyline, the move down to single A. This is a big jump for them. They were in single A a few years back. They're back here now. Cam Hill is the guy that's going to lead this team. He's one of the best in the region. And look, DeLay and Thomasville, they bring a different type of energy. I watched DeLay at practice. We're going to get some of that later this week. It's just so much fun. They had a lot of injuries last year. Nigel Pittman and Levante Core still on the team, though. And these are playmakers that are going to help them get to where they want to get to. They were just in that state championship a few years ago. I mentioned that. And it wouldn't surprise me if Thomasville's back in it.
Here's the thing. When you play football, we can do as much as we want as coaches to get kids ready to play. But on Friday night when the game's going on, we're not on the field. Yes, we call the plays, we call the defense, whatever. But they're the ones that have to go out and make the plays. Those 11 kids on the field, and they've got to rely on each other, on that brother next to them to, understand that, hey, he's got my back, I got his back. We love each other. We're going to go make plays for each other.
The loaded region doesn't stop there. We're talking about Fitzgerald, Thomasville, and I think people might be sleeping on Worth County. Look, this is a very, very young and talented quarterback in Lyndon Worthy. And Coach told me back in the summer that he thought he was the best that he's ever coached. And that's saying a lot. They have a top 5 to 10 receiver in the state, Deontay Fulton. Size, speed, you can't really do much with him on the outside. He can do whatever he wants. The question here is going to be the defense. Are they going to be able to get stops on third down, get off the field? I expect their scores to be much like their scrimmage against Cairo Junior. You witnessed it. 50-point games, 40-point games. It's going to be a defensive struggle for them, but I think offensively they're going to put up a lot of points.
Those two have a great chemistry. They completed 88 balls together. It's finding the next couple of guys. We've done a good job. Jalen Farley, he had a bad injury last year. He's back full speed, which is a good thing. And we've had several others. Brandon Powell, and that's really done well. It's picked up where we got more than one guy we can throw it to.
Well, thanks for hyping up my player to watch, Aaron. Lyndon Worthy. He's fresh off an impressive freshman season where he put up some impressive numbers. He completed 63% of his passes for over 2,000 yards and 27 touchdowns, and now he's a full season under his belt in Jeff Hammond's offense. Jeff knows what he can do. I feel like we can expect some big things from him. He also threw for 3 touchdowns and over 300 yards in the first half of the scrimmage. He finished with 4, so. Yeah.
Big time numbers for him. I'm excited for what he's going to do. Quarterback Cam Hill. This is a guy we've watched now for a couple of years. He's the guy that last year I thought took a step back. Maybe that sophomore slump is what you want to call it. But this is a team now that I think is going to be a lot on him, on his shoulders. But I feel like he's grown. He's a mature kid for his age. And this offense was explosive a couple of years ago when he was a freshman. I think they get back to that. I think they bounce back from it this year. And he's my player to watch because he said they've been there before.
It definitely helped us go forward because, like, when we have, like, region championship games or rivalry games, we have people that's been there and done that instead of people that haven't, instead of people that's new. They may have jitters or whatever. We have a lot of composure. We're calm because we know we've done this before.
Really quickly, as we talk about this region, I wanted to bring something up. Thomasville specifically, Morgan, as we're going to pick who we pick the region. How do you think the loss of DJ Thurman plays out for them, motivating them this year? We've seen a lot of the tributes, a lot of the stuff that they've put out there. He was so special to that community, that team. How do you think that his impact or what happened to him impacts this program or this football team this year specifically?
You talk about something to play for. I mean, that's something to play for right there. Your fallen teammate who was such a special part of the team. And I talk with Coach not all the time, but I've talked to Coach in the past, and he just said this team was unified. The term this year they're using is connection. I think just having someone to play for and the connection that they had with him, I mean, I think that's even more motivation to go get it done for him this season.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch what they're able to do. So who do you guys have winning the region? Janira, let's start with you. Who do you have?
I have Thomasville winning the region. I think just coming back from 3A where they were at and playing those teams there and then coming down, I think they just obviously have the advantage and a little bit more experience, I feel like, than some of these other teams in their region.
Morgan, you have Thomasville as well?
I also have Thomasville. The last time they were in a smaller classification, they made it to the state championship game. They did come up short, but they made it there, and I don't see why they can't make it back again this year.
Not going to lie. I did this last minute. I thought I was going to go with Thomasville, and I made the switch to Worth County. Something about that connection between Lyndon Worthy and Deontay Fulton is going to be a nightmare for defenses. I do believe it's between these two teams. I'm going to go with Worth County. I think Sylvester gets it done this year. We'll see. Let's take a look at that Division II, Region 1 in Class A. Early, this is the big region. I don't know why there's 9 teams in this region, but there is. Early County, Patala Charter, Randolph Clay, Terrell County, Baconton Charter, Miller County, Pelham Hornets, Mitchell County, and Seminole County. And we're going to roll through these. Morgan, we start with Early County.
Coach Killingsworth definitely has his work cut out for him this year. No Ty Stovall. There's a quarterback duel. Last I spoke to him, he said he's still not sure who's going to start at quarterback. And he also told me they're making changes on the offensive line. He said they went from 4 offensive linemen to 3. So that mixed with I know who your quarterback is, it's definitely going to be an interesting year for the Bobcats.
We got to get a new defensive line. We're going from a 4-man front to a 3-man front this year because we don't have many defensive linemen. We're going to go quick, not big.
Patala Charter, the nucleus back. They only graduated 3 seniors. So they got most of their veterans and veteran lines. And coach expects that to be the anchor of the team. Running back Joseph Tanner is going to play a huge role in this offense. The big thing for Patala Charter, guys, it's been coaching carousel there. It's 6 coaches in the last 5 years. Sam Brown is going to try to take over and instill some sort of just a sense of commitment, I guess, to the team where they're not looking for a coach each and every year. That's a huge overhaul, but I think it's something that Coach Brown really wants to instill in this program.
Team is there most seasoned. We graduated 3 seniors, so we pretty much got a nucleus of the team back. We got some key leading seniors this year that's leading them in understanding what we're doing on offense and defense. So they have a better understanding of what's expected of them.
Year 3 under Coach Charles Truitt at Randolph Clay. That's my guy. 4 wins last year. I told Coach face-to-face this year, I'm looking for 5 wins, and he seemed pretty confident they can do it. Players also seem confident. I've followed the team since he got there, and this year, something just seemed different about them, and I think they're going to be successful this year.
I guess just trying to get that winning mentality. I think the kids have been beat down so long in the football program, so them having an opportunity to see some success and being able to see some results. Hard work pays off, and so by working hard, they actually saw the opportunity to win and had some success. So foundation is being able to put into the kids that, okay, well, we can do things, we can be successful.
Out in Dawson, the Green Waves and head coach Jack Harris will really rely on his senior core to lead the team this season. They're the ones he's looking for to guide the younger guys. They don't have as much depth as necessarily some of these other teams. So a lot of these young guys are going to see some playing time. And it's really going to be all hands on deck in Terrell County.
Any of these seniors that have experience, we're going to rely on them to try to get some of these younger kids going. Jalen Perry, I can name Montarius Lee, Michael Carter. There's so many of them that Jehovah Roberts. There's a nucleus of kids that have come through this program, and we're expecting a lot out of them. Like any senior, we expect a lot out of them because they've been here. They understand.
Morgan, I was out there last year at Baconton Charter. The excitement was about the new facilities, right? They got the stands on the opposing side. We know how much struggle this program has gone through. What stood out now that they're a year late?
Well, Aaron, at practice, I was super excited for this team. They look ready. They look excited to play. The only thing about this team is they're just so young, and that's what Coach was telling me. A lot of these guys don't have experience, and I think that showed in their scrimmage against Mitchell County. But I think if they get some of the inexperienced guys some experience, and we're excited to be out there. They're eager to learn. I think if they can just get them up to speed, we'll see some wins for them this season.
And we're just trying to get them to compete because I believe if we start competing and learn how to play the game fast, we'll sneak up and surprise other teams. We got to learn how to play fast and be aggressive and really learn how to play this game where it's supposed to be played.
Tom Causey comes over to Miller County by way of Ola. He also spent some time in Alabama. This is a coach that's been encouraging. I go out to practice and he's just constantly positive, has a great energy and great atmosphere out there. We know they have one of the best running backs in the state, JP Powell, committed to Georgia Tech. They're moving to a spread offense, which is really, really different than what they've done it before. And we do think that's going to help JP Powell. The offensive line's excited about it. JP is excited about it. And I think that's going to open up JP's game even more than it already has.
I love the spread. That's my game right now.
It makes it easier for the offense, harder for the defense to spread out everywhere. They're confused. They ain't really know what they're doing.
Any coach will tell you this that's been doing it for a while. It's something that you got to believe in. And when you believe in it, that belief's got to trickle down through your staff and through the players. And they really don't. They're excited about it, but they hadn't played a game with it yet, so they don't know. And I think we're right where we need to be right now. But the sky's the limit with this group of kids. It's just a matter of how fast we can gel and come together and go back to that thing we talked about, adversity.
A lot of new changes for Pelham, new region, new divisional classification. Now in Single A Division II, which has 14 other schools compared to last season, they only had a region with 4 schools. So it's definitely going to be a tougher track to that region title for them.
Dude, we're going to try to overpower people up front. And having that line and what we do is run the split back veer. It's kind of hard to get, and they're familiar with it. And I think we're really going to test people up front, and we'll do it with a veteran line.
It feels good, but at the same time, I don't like to get too ahead of myself because I know I also need my teammates, and they contribute a big factor of me getting the ball. The offensive line, the quarterback has to get the ball to me. Offensive line has to block first. So I always give it to them first.
I feel like the line's still the same. They just want to run the ball through their throats. But the receivers, we still want to get a part of that.
Hometown hero Dondreal Pinkins is entering his 4th year with the Eagles, and he told me the goal this year is to execute. They start with a tough non-region schedule opening up with the Lanier County Bulldogs. They lost 10 seniors last year, 5 of those starters. This will be the first time in years that they have played the same quarterback in consecutive years, Jonathan Isom. I got to see him play at the scrimmage, and I think he can lead this offense this year.
And this will be the first time since being back here that we've played the same quarterback back-to-back years. So Isom is going to be returning this year as a junior. This will be his 2nd year under the center, and he's made tremendous strides. Just his leadership. He's been showing up, he's been working, he's been motivating guys to be better. I look on his Snapchat, Facebook, he's in the backyard working on days off. So he's showing me that he's ready to take on this role. We're looking for big things from him this year.
Well, Cedric Stegall's 4th season. Since he's taken over, they've improved their record every year. Players are starting to buy into the program. First winning season and playoff for the program since 2011. The big thing here is they lost some guys up front, but they do have 19 seniors. Coach told me that some of the guys up front that he's going to be relying on that have stepped up this summer are Cameron Gale and Jeremy Bourne. Plus, they get the return of their quarterback back. Drew Hornsby now is in year 2 of this offense. He's returning. And Coach has really just talked about the culture he's been able to build there, some of the players, and just buying into what this program is trying to build for the future.
Makes a big difference when you got your kids that when you came in, they're here 4 years later, they done turned into young men, they done trusted the process. They've been continuing to work hard, and these kids stayed together since I've been here. You know, I might have had 2 or 3 from over the years, but for the most part, they've been together and been eager and hungry. Couldn't wait till this time to show up. And it's here quicker than we thought it was going to get here, but I think the kids are excited about this year.
They got us to buy in. That was the biggest difference. Everybody bought in. That's what led us to going to 7-5 rather than 3-7.
His main thing was instilling discipline inside of us. Also, we really started grinding more in the weight room. Got started pumping weights harder, just working out real hard and just effort.
Coach talked about that culture being built in Seminole County. We saw it be Wilcox last year in that playoff game. It was a big moment for them. We're really excited for what they're going to be able to do in Donaldsonville. Let's take a look at the other side of that bracket. We're picking winners. We're picking winners. Sorry. We are picking winners. I'm going with Pelham. I think the drop going from single A to the double A there is going to be big for them. I like Pelham. They're always a physical football team. They run the veer. It's going to be triple option style, physical run game. I went with Pelham Morgan. You have the same pick.
I agree. I agree with everything you said. And I think Parnell, he's going to be a wild card this year. I think he's definitely a player to watch out for on the offensive side of the ball. And I think on defense, they're also going to get it done. So I think Pelham could win the region.
Janira, you have Seminole County winning. What was the thought process?
I do. They have 19 seniors returning. They fell in the second round of the playoffs. And I know Coach Stegall said that loss is really motivating them this season. And having that first playoff win since 2011, I think also just boosts them. I think they have a lot to play for. I think they're a really motivated group. And having 19 guys back with a lot of experience only helps.
All right, let's get out to Pearson, Georgia. And we talked about the Division II, Region 2, one of the toughest regions in the state of Georgia. Start with Atkinson County. Atkinson County is going independent this year. They are not going to be playing a region schedule. Numbers still a big issue out there in Pearson. Coach talked about them trying to get more people out there. I saw the middle school team practicing next to them. So they're trying to encourage kids to come out. They didn't win a game in 2023. So the focus has been on improving that, cleaning up the little details. There's one thing of note, though. Darian and LaDarian Roberts. Coach Bobby Jones told me this might be the best running back he's ever coached.
Get more effort on the game field. Last year, we went out there, but we didn't come out there to play. We just went out there to just run around. This year, we got to come to play and to actually play to win.
I know a lot of people don't get the chance to play with their brothers, during their like playing sports, but I happen to get the chance. I got a twin brother and we both play the same sport. It gets very competitive. When we get home, he'll try to run into me, I try to run into him. It's just everyday thing.
Clinch County, they'll be a young team, just 4 seniors, but still a lot of experience. Majority of these guys saw the field as underclassmen, guys like Xavion Johnson. Jim Durkinson called his Swiss Army knife. Panthers will look for a big contribution from him this season, especially losing a huge part of their 11-win team last season in Jeremy Bell.
Mr. said, we didn't have enough chemistry last year to probably win the state championship. But now, everybody getting on with each other. So, yeah, that's a big deal. That's a big deal on the team.
The whole team, our chemistry just went up. We started doing ourselves. And he made the importance of words. He made it even more great. Because at first, we didn't really have, we didn't have any chemistry. We didn't have any push, motivation. And now we just got it rolling.
In Quitman, first year without my guy, Maurice Freeman. But Coach McFarland has a good grasp on this team. They were young last year and will be again this year. Offense will be their strong suit early on. Returning quarterback, Junior Burris. I spoke with him at practice this week, and he told me that last year he was nervous, and this year he's playing his game. Then you look at George Lamons, he will give any defensive fit, and Coach told me he believes this will be Chris Cole's breakout year. And I mean, it has to be. He's a senior.
Talk about this region being so tough. Irwin County was derailed by injuries in 2023. This year, they're focusing on the depth and the needed in this region because it's one of the toughest. Spent the offseason, as we mentioned that first half hour, more camps, more OTAs to get that experience. Coach said the defensive line is really a strength for this team, so they're going to lean on those guys up front. But you do get a lot of the skill guys back. Shane Marshall and Elijah Fears, big time. They paint on that back end and that secondary should play a role. And of course, we can't forget about Javian Woodard, one of the bigger playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. So them, you add Brody Suggs to the end line guy who has a lot of versatility. It could be a good thing for Irwin County this year.
Lanier County Bulldogs insert a new head coach, Coach David Dean, who is no stranger to winning after all the national titles, that he got in Titletown. They're coming off their first playoff victory last year. I think with that mixed in with Coach Dean coming in and B.J. Jones leading the defense, Lanier County might have a few more wins this year.
Turner County Titans have a new head coach this season, former standout Turner County player Demario Barber. He graduated in 2007, and now he's back to get the Titans back to their winning ways. They produced just 5 total victories over the past few seasons, and he has some experienced talent back. The biggest challenge, finding someone to replace quarterback Carlton Brannon. It's nice to have a head coach who knows the culture and truly cares about bringing it back to Turner County. I think that's really going to help the Titans.
Just want to put a good product on the field. As a first-year head coach, I want to go out. I want to look good. I want to put a good product on the field. It's not about winning and losses for me. It's all about looking good, putting a good product out there for Turner County and representing that team.
Yeah, you mentioned them losing Brandon. They also lost Kieran Dossie, who's his go-to target offensively. It's going to be big as well. Let's pick some players to watch. Morgan, let's start with you. Who is your player to watch in this region?
You already know it's George Lamons. I spoke with George at practice this week. He told me he did not think he was going to have the season he did last year. He actually told me at one point he felt like football wasn't for him. He told me last season he thought he was only going to have 2 catches and 1 touchdown. I think he surprised everyone, including himself. After just 1 season, he's now a 4-star prospect with 17 offers. I said it last season. I'll say it again. I think he's going to be one of the best players to come out of Clinton, Georgia.
2 touches. That's what he thought he was going to get.
That's what he thought. And I don't know if you know his dad, but his dad was like one of the best players to come out of Brooks County. And now he's like, I'm better than my dad.
There was no way that George was only going to get. That man is massive and he's young. There was no way he was only going to get 2 touches. I expect George to have a big breakout year. And I'm excited for him to have that opportunity. All right, let's talk about it. Dooley County, Wilcox County, Schley County. Region 4 and Region 6 of Class A Division II. This is one, Morgan, Dooley County. Where are they at right now?
Dooley, they're going to have a different look this year. They won the region title for the first time in a long time last year, but this year they have no Antoine Clayton, no Jalen Bullhall, and no Deontay Burton. I spoke with Coach, and he said every year we have a different look, but this year is definitely going to be different, starting with the quarterback position.
If we come up with something different, we have to cater to the kids that we have. So everything looks a lot different every year. We don't see it as momentum because that season's over. Our goal this year is to make sure that we can defend that championship, that region championship. So we're going after it as well. We don't think that we won it last year. That means we're going to win it every year. Our job is to go after it again this season.
Wilcox County has been 15 seasons since the state championship. Last season, they were above 500 with a 6-5 record, and they dominated at home. They do lose a lot of talent, though, of course, B.J. Gibson down in Tallahassee at Florida State. And a younger group now who head coach Rob Stowe says wants to win and kind of describe them as a sponge, saying they're ready to learn anything.
This team seems to be very hungry because they've verbalized themselves that, that's not the standard that we've gone with in the past few years. We believe that, the goal always is to win the region, here at Wilcox at least.
Oh, we got to win it this year. Definitely. We have to.
Wow.
Because, to be honest, last year, we were supposed to win it, but it was a lot of mistakes happening, a lot of ups and downs, but we gonna make it this year and we gonna win it.
Last year we got put out in the first round, and that's like, you don't want to do that, but I think this year's team, they have that had the mindset to get past and not let something stop them.
All right, a team that was so close to a state title the past 2 seasons. We're talking about the Schley County Wildcats. No Jay Kanazawa, and Jalou Solomon is now gone. Coach talked about the guys up front, strong on both sides of the ball, and I kept mentioning this before. I mentioned it with Westover. The trenches is where it matters most. I think ultimately the team will be okay. They are going to have to find a way to get some production out of the quarterback and wide receiver position. But we know Zayden Walker is there. We know that he can be a game wrecker. And we know that this team is going to be fighting for a state title in the end.
They don't get to see the line. I really, really like our offensive line this year. The defensive line is young in some positions, but I like the guys that we have out there. So I feel like our line of scrimmage is going to be strong, that we're going to be able to play with some people.
I mentioned Zayden Walker, one of the best linebackers in the country. As a matter of fact, ESPN's #1 rated linebacker. He has size and strength of a grown man. I would not want to be a ball carrier getting tackled by this guy. Not only can he get it on the defensive side of the ball, get to the passer, but he also helps them offensively. He's a running back threat. He's near the goal line. He can carry the ball a few times a game. I think it's going to be important for him to stay healthy. He's had knee injuries in the past. I think that's going to be important that they manage his workload offensively to keep him healthy. But he's also taken on more of a leadership role this year for the younger guys. And of course, he's committed to the UGA.
Yeah, it's definitely been a good summer. We got young guys learning a lot. So yeah, I definitely say it's a good summer. Definitely be talkative. You know, like I said, we got a lot of young guys. I mean, if you talk to them, they'll do what they got to do.
Okay, and
all right, let's talk about who we're picking in this region. Let's start with the Dooley region. Dooley County is a region champs of the year ago. Morgan, you have Wilcox this year. Why?
They won the region 3 years in a row up until Dooley knocked them off this past year. The main thing I got from everyone I spoke to at practice is they want that region title. They want it back in Rochelle. And I think they have what it takes to get it back there.
Janier, you chose the defending champs in Dooley County. What went behind that pick?
I think it was just that fact that they were defending champs. They have that experience. They know what it takes to do it. And I think they can do it again.
Look, Antoine Clayton, Jalen Hall.
The list goes on.
The list goes on. They've lost so much at Dooley County. It's hard to think they're going to go back to back. Wilcox County, keeping your quarterback is a huge deal in high school football. I'm going to go with Telfair County. And I know I'm going to get hate, but I'm an honest man. I'm an honest man. I can't always go with the South Georgia squad that we cover. Telfair County beat a couple of these teams last year. They didn't lose a lot of guys. I think they just lost 9 seniors from a year ago. They're returning a lot of players. I'm going to go with Telfair County to get the win there and take care of the region. Let's go to the other region, Region 6. I think this is a clean sweep. I don't think there needs to be much said about it. Slack County is taking this region again. Why? Because we mentioned it. They have Zayden Walker. And this team has been there before. They've been in state championships. And I expect them to continue to do that. Do you guys have anything else that
You said it. Yep.
Set it off?
We're all
Slack
in
County
agreement.
Wildcats. All right, Brookwood, Janier, they're losing the key piece. It's Raj Waldrip. And I know we covered him a lot last year. They also lose TJ Thomas. You cannot replace that production. But if you're going to replace that production, how are you going to do it? Well, it starts with finding a quarterback. And that's between Pierce Hightower and Roland Waldrip. That's cute. Little brother. Like you get the little brother, the freshman comes in to take over the mantle. I like that. Look, they get 3 guys back on the offensive line that are starting. So that's important. You'll have some protection up front. Isaiah Hill, coach is talking about him taking that leadership role on really, really heavily this summer.
Things we're making progress. Kids have been hungry. Kids have had high motors, particularly the last few weeks. I feel like they're absorbing a lot of content. And that's part of the deal because we say it all the time, but like certainty creates a faster playing player, and we need faster playing players.
Expect a lot out of Lane Seals at Deerfield. This team was young in 2023. Coach McGray was sitting with the offensive and defensive line. They played in some tight games, and the inexperience showed down the stretch. But they should be better in the 2024 season. The growth and physicality and the weight room should help this team.
Our quarterback's going to be someone to watch, Lane Seals. And I'm really excited about this offensive and defensive line with guys like Harris and McCray and Big Al and just, even some newcomers like Chapel-Coley and these guys. So it's so much fun to be around these guys. And I just know that they're going to make us proud.
New head coach for the Raiders. It'll be an adjustment curve for Southland. They move to AA, though. Last season, they were in AAA, so that may help ease the transition of leadership. Their old region, a tough one with teams like JMA, Fowler, and Tipped Area.
We've spent now about 5 weeks together. This is since my first year there.
So we're learning. We're out here to compete and just get better. We've had a great attitude going through the summer and getting our strength and conditioning going.
Terrell Academy, again, another team that will rely on experience and leadership of their senior core. A big name to watch out for theirs is Wes Peachy. He'll most likely be the anchor for both the offensive and defensive line. He's one of 9 seniors, so a younger group in Dawson. So guys like Peachy will need to step up. His brother, Bryce Peachy, will be the Eagles' starting quarterback this season, replacing William Massey, a big loss for the Eagles.
Well, Wes Peachy, he's an offensive defensive lineman. He's got a lot of heart. And Hill Murdoch, he's playing running back. We're playing a secondary for us. And Ty Thomas and Bryce Peachy. We got a lot of kids. And Baylor Station on the line have been working real hard. And I think they'll give us good leadership.
Tift area, the Panthers struggle with numbers like most private schools, football clubs, but Coach Soliday likes the experience his guys bring into the 2024 season. Big junior class returning gives them a head start over last season. Junior Walker is in his 3rd year in the system, so expect a big jump from him and John Jackson on the outside of the ball. He will be his go-to guy. The senior leadership gives Coach Soliday some positive vibes going into week 1.
Jackson is back, and he's one of our top receivers, and we expect him to always have a good year. J.R. Walker, quarterback, is back. This will be his 3rd year in this system. And so we're expecting him to really break out and do some good things, throwing and running the ball. And we've got a linebacker and tight end, Tamon Marcus, that's really coming along. So those are 3 of our seniors that have really stepped up so far. And we've got some others too. Brody Seagraves is really, his mentality has changed a lot this year, and he's kind of taking more leadership. So they're all kind of buying in and taking some leadership, which is good.
The defending state champs, Valwood Valiants. Look, Tate Snellgrove's back, more experience this year. They do lose Marcus Fennell, leaving to Valdosta, but they have 4 new starters on the offensive line. I think that's the biggest impact. Jack Melendez is the only returning starter. Trying to replace guys like DeMar Riley and Fennell is going to be kind of their biggest obstacle that Valwood has to overcome this year. So I'm expecting that Tristan White has a huge year for this team.
I've been extremely pleased with the way our offensive line's evolved over the summer. You know, we've got 4 new faces up there. Melendez is our only returning guy. We moved a guy over from that started on the defensive line a year ago, and then we've got some young guys up there. But those guys have really gotten after it. Coach Nix has done a great job coming over here and taking over the reins as our offensive line coach, and excited to see those guys and think that really could end up being a strength for us again.
One of the running themes that we've seen throughout the show is off-season strength and conditioning, the weight room being a big part of that. The same goes for SGA. Coach talked about what they've been able to do in the weight room, that being the biggest difference in their improvement. Colt Williams, look, I watched this guy run last year against Deerfield. He's a muscle hamster, but he's a big guy. I don't even know if it's a hamster. He's physical. He's going to run downhill, and he's going to put his pads on you. I think they're going to continue to run that football. They're going to lean on that run game. You're not going to see much passing from this team.
Our strength is going to be our senior class, and our weaknesses, you know, it's just, we don't have any. I'm kidding. No, our weaknesses is just our kids have got it. I have a lot of kids that are playing travel baseball, so I'm having to work around that. And it's not just me, it's all football coaches right now having to do that. You just have to think outside the box and figure ways to get their work in, and we do. So, you know, we're looking forward to this year, though.
I like that. No weaknesses at all. I want to revisit back, Junior. You said you had something on the Tift area coach, Eric Soliday.
I do. He did tell me that he and Jim Wallace had an ongoing thing on who was going to retire first, and Jim Wallace actually beat him out. So I did just
Coach Soliday wins. Yeah. Coach Soliday wins, but he stayed in longer. Let's take a look at some of our players to watch from the GIAA. And it starts with yours, Junior, in Valwood.
Yeah, Junior Tate Snellgrove. He had over 1,100 yards and 15 touchdowns in the air last season. He rushed for 525 yards with 10 touchdowns. And he's a key part of Valwood's offense that got him that state championship last year. And this season, he still has some solid talent around him. He has a good relationship with Brad Wells, obviously. Obviously, you mentioned that O-line earlier. That could be the biggest struggle for him, but outside of that.
Morgan, do you like Tristan White?
Yeah, Junior said he has a lot of talent around him. Tate does, and one of those people is Tristan White. I like what I saw from him in the championship game last year. He's coming back with another year of experience. He has 3 stars beside his name. I think him and Tate can take him back to another title this year.
One of my favorite players. I talk to him on the baseball diamond all the time. He's a good kid. For me, it's Seth Boggs in Brookwood. I think this is a versatile guy, under the radar type of guy. He does it on both sides of the ball. DB, wide receiver. He's kind of a go-to safety net. And I think they're going to need that. When we're talking about Brookwood losing a quarterback, you're going to need a guy that you can just depend on game in and game out. And I think that starts with Seth. We're almost done. We have gone through the GIAA 11-man. We have gone. All we have left is 8-man football, and 8-man football matters here in South Georgia. Let's take a look at some of those. Oh, we do got to pick. Thank you, producer extraordinaire Stan.
Valwood across the board, no question. Yeah.
I think it was given. That's why I didn't say it. We do have our winner. It's Valwood. We think they're going to take the state championship there. And Morgan, who do you have in this, the other classification, AA? I have SGA. Janier's going with Robert Toombs. Who do you have, Morgan?
I like SGA. I like Coach Morris. I think he brings a lot of fun and excitement to the game. And I mean, in SGA, they hang their hat on their sports there. And I think football is on the rise, just like their baseball team.
I like it. All right, let's take a look at that 8-man football region. Baker, Calhoun, Crisp, Sherwood, Westwood, Southwest Georgia STEM, who's in their second year, Grace Christian, and Georgia Christian. We start with Baker County, Morgan.
Yeah, Aaron, Baker County lost 5 seniors this past season, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is when you only have 20 guys on the team. This will be their first year in 11. They're having an 8-man and an 11-man schedule. So I think hopefully they can get those 8-man wins and hopefully prepare them for their 11-man games, which I know Coach is super excited for.
What we're telling them, they have to be in shape. We have to come out here and take conditioning very serious. What we mean by shape is what you just said. We got a lot of guys going to have to play both ways, but if we get them in shape, we will be able to do that.
All right, let's talk Calhoun County. The switch to 11-man this year. I left them down here because this switch for them, we're not sure is going to stay. I talked to Coach about this. They hope to continue to be an 11-man, but Jeff is going to be an issue. Zion Suver making that transition has been tough for him, he says, but he's making it. He's going to play quarterback for this team. They're going to rely a lot on him. And look for Jaden Welsh to be his go-to guy in the offense. He's going to be the focal point, and they're going to rely on Antonio Winokur on that defensive side.
It hasn't been too hard at all because a lot of the guys, they know football, they watch football, they like it. And it hasn't been a real big issue. It's just really getting them to learn their keys and adding in those extra bodies where they're supposed to go and actually having those extra bodies.
Really the decision making. Like I got a lot of decision making I got to do, like routes. They got to be on time. I got to place the ball in the right spot. A lot of things like that. Like 8-man, it was just like he basically playing fun. But 11-man, it's a lot of difficulty and all that. So
it made me feel like I got to just put myself harder because I'm going to be ready for, coach telling me to expect the big team, from 8-man to 11-man. So, yes, sir. The adjustment, now that there's more people, you got to make your routes more crispier, more faster, stuff like that. So your QB can see that because it's more help on defense now. So everything got to be perfect.
Crisp Academy, they're dealing with the same struggle that all the smaller schools do. Depth's a big issue for them. Their main focus is keeping their guys healthy so they can play, especially when you look at their schedule, because that in itself will already be a tough challenge for Crisp Academy.
Our schedule is definitely tough. I mean, we're playing some teams that used to play 11-man, and we're playing 8-man, like Georgia Christian, Sherwood Christian, Vidalia Heritage, and so it's going to be tough, I think.
Fly, Eagles, fly, as Aaron would say. Sherwood Christian moved from the GAPPS to the GIAA. They're still 8-man, and they finished second in the state a season ago. This season, they essentially have all new opponents. Their biggest gap in Sherwood is losing Easton Infanger, but they do return Trip Roberts from his junior season, who pretty much rewrote the Sherwood Christian record books, completing 109 of 157 passing attempts for over 2,000 yards, 35 touchdowns. He also rushed for 10 touchdowns and 493 yards.
Trip has grown a lot over the summer. Our quarterback coach, Caleb Easton, does a great job working with him. Trip, he has the physical attributes. That's not the problem. He's just learned how to read defenses better. His footwork has gotten a lot better. And beyond that, he has such a strong arm. Sometimes as a quarterback, you depend on your arm instead of using your body, and he's learned more of that. So it's been a great offseason for him.
Let's get to the Westwood Wildcats. They lose key piece Weston Fears, who was huge for that offense last season. They're a young team looking to progress through the year. Hayden Cohen, senior quarterback, and Bryce Roberts are going to play a huge part of the offensive side of the ball. And then on defense, we have to look at guys like Braxton Etheridge, leader.
you know, the easy thing is to say, you know, obviously you want to win ball games. And of course, if we play well, we will. But again, the thing is we've got quite a few guys on this team that are new, they're young. And so we just want to see that progression. We want to see these older guys, you know, be encouragers and help these young guys, you know, learn how to play Westwood football. And if they do that, you know, we'll be successful on the field.
All right, Georgia Christian dropping down to the 8-man game this year. The numbers and depth, a big reason why some of these private school teams just can't get enough guys out there. But I think this is going to be an advantage, ladies. This is something you come from 11-man and you go to 8-man and you see all that space on the field. First year in 8-man, I think Georgia Christian is going to have a huge advantage going forward for 2024.
STEM Charter, the Aggies, just their second season as a program. Coach Tully and the Aggies are looking to really just build that foundation this season. They already have a huge community support. They have good numbers coming out to their practices, and time, I think, will just do this team justice.
More precise in our play execution would probably be the main thing. I think that we kind of lacked in that a little bit last year. But I also think that them having a year experience going into this year has helped clean a lot of that up already.
In July of 2021, the NCAA began to allow student athletes to profit from their name, image, and likeness. Since then, the rules continue to loosen. It was only a matter of time before it reached the lower levels. In October of 2023, the Georgia High School Association approved a bylaw that allowed changes for high school athletes to profit off of NIL, giving coaches more responsibility to educate players and families. Perhaps long overdue, but still navigating the murky waters, this new normal isn't easy. Student athletes call them coach. Their role? Motivator, friend, mentor, even disciplinarian, all while helping individuals develop and improve performance.
That's it. Get a bullet right there. Good. Good. Hey, down.
With the landscape of NIL in sports, coaches now face a new challenge.
First, I tell them, anybody approaches you, let's sit down and talk about it. And that's happened with a couple of our kids because, you know, the world we live in, you know, there's people trying to take advantage of, you know, of young, good athletes.
We as a program, we can't represent the kid. So you have to have representation. So it's very tricky. And you got to make sure you get the right people that's not taking advantage of the kid.
On July 18, 2024, the GHSA amended the rules to prevent clubs and collectives from allowing athletes to profit at the high school level. What exactly does that mean? The NIL can't be associated in any way with the school, its logos, facilities, or video footage relating to it.
To transfer to 10 schools and do all this different stuff and a lot of things, a lot of lies that are being told with NIL, I think people really need to sit back and really watch it.
Get on me. 1, 2, 3.
Name, image, and likeness is here to stay. And if done properly, can be life-changing for student athletes across the country, especially here in the South.
I mean, if there's somebody in our community, you know, that wants to, you know, promote them and their name, image, likeness, and give them some money and do it all by the right rules and regulations, I'm all for it.
If a guy's that popular player and he can make money and change his family situation off of his talent, then I welcome it. And so we just need some leadership to come together and give us some real rules to deal with.
If a player's that good, he's able to help his family, help himself early. A lot of our kids are poverty bound. If they're able to make a little money to help them, that thing's a great thing. But it's tricky because they can't divide a locker room if you don't manage it the right way. But I am for the kid getting paid if he can get paid. Just doing the right thing and doing the right way, to me, is the right thing to do.
52 teams we covered here tonight. I'm tired. The girls look like they're not tired. They look like they can go for 52 more, but I am excited for tomorrow night. Locker Room Report, our first episode. Morgan, game of the week. Thomasville and Brooks County is our first week 1 game of the week. You are not going to want to miss it. We're going to have content for you all day long on Friday. The football season is here. I'm excited. I know you guys are excited. South Georgia, it's time for another great 2024. Thank you for joining us on this very, very, very special episode of Sports Talk leading up to the football season, our brand new look. And we're here for a brand new season. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Locker Room Report. Have a good night.